Yep.
Okay. Hello, I'm Evan, otherwise known as the Supreme DM. Known by that by me. No one else calls me that. Stroke mediator.
I gave him one line of credit on my credit card. And gave him an extra.
He died immediately after. I still have access to his credit.
Wait, is this true?
No, that's okay. Okay, but before we get started properly, is anyone here named Michael? Michael? No mics? Okay. I
There's
didn't
a
mean
mic there.
I didn't need to do a mic check anyways. So where was I? Oh yes, today's topic.
Is today's topic drinking water?
No
Yeah,
water
you drink
needed.
water.
Everyone take a couple swigs.
I don't have any water.
Well, this is unfortunate. There's plenty out there pretty soon. Just have to wait for the snow. So we're going to be talking about puzzles, riddles, and how we can use them in stories for our players. So first and foremost, stories can take any number of approaches. They can be linear, they can be railroady, they could be a bunch of spaghetti on a plate, but somehow starts at your fork and then ends on the floor right next to you with single strands, and you don't know if it's one noodle or many. So first, I want to kind of give a perspective of how I view puzzles and riddles. I'm also going to stand on this because you'll cooler as I almost fall. So I would argue that we should look at puzzles and riddles kind of like encounters, where it is a tool, it is an event that happens in the game, and the players have to interact with it one way or another. That interaction could be avoided. I don't want to deal with that. That's gross. There's 2 red dragons, they're adults, and our party's level 2. That's going to kill me. I don't want to get killed. Or, hey, what if we bribe those hobgoblins so they work for us and they help us beat up the boss instead of, having to kill the 2 hobgoblins and the boss? So when I'm talking about nonlinear stories in that regard, I'm talking about the idea that there's more than one way to approach that puzzle, that riddle. And you don't have to succeed or fail at it. You could get the riddle right. That's wonderful. Somehow this man, I had a riddle in my campaign last weekend and he got it right. There's 5 other people and he's not gotten a single riddle right this entire campaign, but he was the first one to solve it, which saved the party from a terrible curse that would have
Some would
killed
say,
NBC.
I ate the sharpest tool in the shed. There's a Smash Bros. Reference.
Hey, just have to be sharp one time. But with that in mind, there can be many different resolutions, I think would be the best term for the riddles and the puzzles. That could be they get the answer right, they find an alternative to solving it. It could be that they find a way to get around it. If there's a lock on a door, they need to go through this door. Hey, if you go down the hall, take a right, and then a right, and then a right, and then fall through the floor, hey, that's where you're going anyways. So it's really a matter of how do we balance keeping it fun for the players, keeping it doable, and keeping it in the realm of reality. Granted, this is D&D where you could be an elf, so already this is all the way out the window in terms of reality, but immersion.
Like, it runs on a different set of logic, but that logic needs to be consistent.
Correct. So it could be things like, again, for the riddle I gave them, I emphasized different parts of the riddle. Context. It was a riddle from a naked man who was the follower of a god of bad luck. They found him on the middle of the road and they chose to talk with him. Mistake already? Yes. So they're talking with this follower of bad luck and he gives them a riddle. If they got the riddle right, whoever solved it got a boon. If they got it wrong or they chose not to answer it, someone in the party would get a curse. Curse is inconvenient for the person themselves, but they have the ability to move that curse to a different person. That's getting into an entirely different topic about curses and blessings, which I think would be enough for its own meeting. But it's the idea that it wasn't necessary for the players to solve it. The story continues even if they get it wrong. So when we're including these things, we should try to figure out, what if they can't solve it? What if they do solve it? and how important is it that they either solve it, don't solve it, whatever the case is. What if they only solve part of it? And one of the things I want us to try to do today is come up with examples of riddles or find good resources to sneak these riddles into our own playbooks. Something I like to do is, as I go through different modules, I save riddles so I can reuse them in other modules. It's unfortunate if I have the same players for all those modules like Riddick, but I can trust that he's not going to remember it.
Remember what?
Were you? Anyways, any questions so far?
Actually, you talking about reusing puzzles brought me to a different point. What if you're on the other side? Like recently I had a campaign where I knew the puzzle, like the first 3 words. Yeah, I know the answer.
So I will say a couple things on that. It depends on you, who you are as a person, and how you're trying to role play your character. For one thing, metagaming. That's again a separate topic. We could have entire night just talking about metagaming. But in something like that, if you know the answer, what you could do is try to not ruin it for your peers potentially, and try to give them hints. So instead of being like, oh yeah, guys, it's this, we could maybe step back from the table a little bit, let the other people think on it a bit, and if they're getting stuck and you know the answer, you want to say the answer, what if you try to help coach your compatriots to solving the riddle?
Yeah, that's close to what I did. I also messaged Brian about the fact that I know the answer.
Oh, Brian.
Yeah.
The Portuguese one.
Mhm.
Yeah, he's also one of my players.
Yeah, I know.
It's fun.
Wait, was it the gold weight puzzle?
Yeah,
Yeah. I heard it took you guys like 3 hours to figure that out.
Which one
it
weighs
did
more?
not.
A long time, I think, right?
Which one weighs more, a pound of bricks or a pound of feathers?
It was-
How much air is stuck within the feathers?
Well, it's a pound of feathers.
No, but how much air?
How much air? How much air is in there?
Good question. Probably not much considering there's a lot of fluid there.
Oh, the
Liquids.
fluid is very oxygenated though. Anyway, I digress.
Air is technically a fluid.
Yeah, I meant to say liquids.
What were we talking about?
Good
He
question.
was talking about how,
From the others.
what do you do, just for the purpose of anyone who might be listening to this as a recording later on. I'm sorry.
Rodion.
Rodion was asking, what do you do if you're a player and your DM gives you your party a riddle that you already know the answer to? And just, it was to take a step back and try to help your party solve it without necessarily giving the answer. But of course, that depends on what kind of person you are and how you feel about that particular riddle at the time. I will remember your name, Sky. Because it's not snow. What's my name?
Evan.
I didn't even have that. Right. You're right.
My name is nobody for the record.
Yes. Thank you, nobody.
Yeah. Oh, guy just joined in.
No, that's me.
Oh, that's you.
Oh,
I'm like,
wonderful.
Doom.
We're about to get like a little bit of interference from that. Loops. Echo.
I mean, as long as that's like deafened and muted, it won't do anything.
Rodeo.
So, okay.
No, it
Do we have
says
any
Doom
other-
right there?
I don't have my glasses on.
Doom.
Doom. Sick. I can see myself.
Okay, what we're talking about? Yeah.
So I was
So-
asking if anyone has any other questions off that initial spiel, because I know I'm talking a lot right now, but I do intend for this to be a conversation and not a lecture, since that I will get extremely self-confident by the end of it. Any other questions from me?
I think I would add something to enhance a puzzle. Let's say a combat puzzle. You remember the bureaucracy room?
Oh, yes.
That would be a combat puzzle.
So
You can explain.
that's an excellent point. Puzzles don't have to be physical things. Kind of like how riddles are word puzzles. They can be verbal, they can be written down, but they are a puzzle. Puzzles could be a physical thing. Like if anyone here has ever played Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, sold by Todd Howard, at Bethesda.
Couple times.
Couple times, a few times. Very popular puzzle is, spoiler alert here for anyone who has not bought Skyrim and played it a little bit. There are puzzles where there are stones that you can turn, and then there's a wheel that you can press to try to go through the door based off how you have the stone wheels turn. You have to get the correct order of symbols there, kind of like a dial pad on a lock. And then you have to take a golden claw or some other object, and you have to look at it at different angles. It reveals the order that you're supposed to have the code in. Puzzles can be physical like that. They can be concepts or ideas, like in terms of a riddle, where it's what has 4 legs in the morning, 2 legs at noon, and 3 legs in the evening. Riddle the Sphinx, pretty common. Yes, it's a rosary in my hand. I'm going to try to not fiddle with it too much. Anyways, or the puzzle can be a situation. And a one-shot that Riddick did last semester during MagicCon, he had a room called the Room of Bureaucracy. In this, there's a receptionist. The receptionist would only say, all things will happen in time following the bureaucratic method. Essentially, players would do actions, and the actions had associated numbers with them. As the turns progressed, the teller was calling out different numbers. When the number came for that particular action, all of the people that did those actions had the effects of it happen at that number and not during their turn. So if 4 fireballs were cast, it says A2 on it, you get the ticket A2. Those fireballs all land at the original target location, and it causes a lot of chaos. But once you learn how to do that, you can plan ahead for where you want to have your things land, where you want to try to push the guy, because you're still able to walk. I don't know the specifics of his room of
So you can still
bureaucracy,
move around.
but the actions weighted on the tickets. So those kind of puzzles can be those situations. Really something of the unknown with the twists that you're not privy to yet, that oftentimes there's some kind of hint for. Another thing I like to do personally is I like to put broad hints ahead of time in a lot of places. For example, I had them run into cows at the start of one of their dungeons. They ran into cows. What's this mean? I don't know. They forget about the cows. It's gonna come to fight them in the moor later on. Speaking of which, I have a fun song.
No, not that.
People are sending me all kinds of messages here.
How dare they?
I know, right? So here's a wonderful song. No, it's not Christian music, I promise. I do listen to that stuff, but I'm not going to subject you guys to it.
It's painful.
I'm going to use that for the Boston of my next boss encounter.
It's gotta be a boss encounter where the party's getting the floor wiped with them.
Oh, they're getting an NPC of theirs that's going to get tied down to a stone table. They're going to try to rescue him, and as they get up to free the character, that's going to play in the background.
Oh, no.
It'll be fun. It'll be fun.
Oh, no.
I'm counting on the fact that he won't remember that. Don't watch the recording. Anyways, but yeah, puzzles can be situations like that, where it's some oddity of the environment that you don't quite understand. Another one I've seen is when players go to do something and it doesn't work. For example, you're in a room and none of your magic is working. Why is that? Well, it turns out there's something afoot, and you have got to figure that out. It is a puzzle. You got to investigate. So, yeah, I definitely encourage, if you guys want and you guys don't necessarily care about spoilers per se, you post puzzles to the accompanying thread for this Discord one. I don't know if you've seen the different discussion threads for DM's Guild that Rulix put together, but if you guys have riddles or other fun ideas for odd encounters, include those there. But I do encourage you guys, hide the answer and just we'll have a blanket post that says, if you guys want the answers to these riddles using your own stuff, DM the person that posted the riddle. Because I think that would be a neat thing to do. That plus I'm lazy and I want to steal your guys' riddles. But yes, they are a tool. They should be handled just like encounters with enemies, with NPCs, anything like that. And players don't necessarily have to solve it. I think that's the bulk of like what I wanted to do to set the mood. Do we want to like talk about any of that or start going through some examples of riddles?
So a good example, at least I say, for a riddle that I would implement it with is that when the players encounter this puzzle, I guess, they'll probably see like a dead body of a guy who failed the puzzle. Gotta say, okay, what do I have to do? What are the limits of this puzzle? What happens if I mess up?
Yes, hints.
Yeah.
If your players are keen enough to jump on hints, that is wonderful.
Yeah.
Not every group of players wants to follow hints that are so neatly laid out to you guys.
I definitely like, I don't know, whenever I'm doing stuff like that, I always make sure to drop more hints that I think are necessary because no one's going to pick up on everything immediately. So
another thing to think about is how necessary is it that they answer this? So that curse with the naked guy that they ran into earlier, that was like kind of like I made a bunch of random encounters for them to do, and I rolled a die, and I was like, oh, they're gonna do this encounter. Let's see how this goes. The first one of the night. That one, they could fail, they could win. It has no bearing on the overall campaign insofar as it doesn't change the resolution, but it can change the party's current stance. So I didn't have too many hints, but if it's say, I don't know, let's use some more literature because like I said, I'm lazy. You're trying to save Butt Stallion from the Borderlands franchise, and Butt Stallion needs you to get her golden jewels from the dungeon. And without these golden jewels, the players will lose in the following fights. I'll drop either a million hints, hope that someone has common sense and can answer the riddle, or I'll plan out alternative ways for them to get it. So they can still get the puzzle wrong, but like I said earlier, if you go down the hall, take a right, fall through the ceiling, whatever the case is, you still get to the final place. It's just how do you get there? In a sense, a little bit railroady, but railroady with flavor.
yeah, I think the most like hint heavy things I've done has been I have a one shot. I say one shot. It like takes 8 hours to get through.
Oh, that's fine. It took him. How long did it take you to get through your? Your one shot. It took like 6-7 sessions, right?
Wait, what?
No, that was Brian. Brian with the yawning portal. He wanted to do a one shot with the yawning portal. It took him like 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, last week he had a one shot. Great, 40 minutes.
40 minutes.
They got floored by an alien, yeah.
Well, that's a one shot.
They
already got one shot.
They get one shot.
Yeah, anyway, it is a one shot that is basically all puzzles. So I try to like, I don't know, like it's more like everyone knows that that's what they're going to do going in, and I do try to like in every sort of room section, there's like a sort of written hint as to what's going on. So it's like that's super clear signposting. Other things I don't
Keep talking. I'm just walking around.
I don't know if I've done any direct puzzles that the game is currently running, but I have had some like mysteries that I've set up kind of like puzzles. Those haven't had as many latent hints because it's not as urgent that the party gets them correct.
So what you're saying, so you kind of said the mystery itself, which is kind of like the overarching point of the one shot.
No, sorry, these are two different things.
Oh,
So there's the
okay.
puzzle-based one shot, and then there's my current game where I have mysteries that I kind of set up sort of like puzzles.
Gotcha. And so those puzzles are part of that mystery, which aren't necessary, but like are. I'm just- you can go.
So it's like instead of like solving the puzzle, it's like, well, I think like the first example, like it was basically a case of like a friendly NPC. The party kept getting arrested for various crimes, and even though she was loudly insisting she didn't do it, so they had to, instead of like solving the puzzle, they're trying to solve the crime and figure out who actually did it.
Ah, gotcha. All right. So that is like an interesting way to do a puzzle, I guess. Like, would be spoiler to ask, did they finish this puzzle? It would be spoilers for me to ask.
Okay, so yeah, they did manage to solve both of the times that this happened to this woman. It didn't get to happen a third time because they found out that while she hadn't committed those crimes, she was in fact doing things that were far worse.
Oh, well. I didn't commit tax fraud. I killed a cat.
You know what would be a fun puzzle? Or the party walks into a room. You have a battle map out in front of you. You draw it out. You narrate a couple details to them, and then you kind of just stop talking for a second, and you're like this, and you just wait to see what they do.
That's torture. That's not a puzzle. That was like.
It's in his dead, it seems.
Yeah. Unless you know how to solve one of those things for that's.
Did you guys see what I did there? Camera didn't because camera's over there. Hi, camera. But do you guys see what I did there? I put two things on the table. Who said one is more important than the other?
Wait,
So-
what's the other thing you put on the-
I put this on the
Oh, I thought you
table at
were
the same
fiddling
time.
with
Exactly. So as something that is a subtlety that they can pick up on. So they're staring at the cube, they're trying to figure out the cube, and then someone suddenly, I would have worked a lot better if the light actually turned on this, because it would have brought your eyes there. And someone's like, wait a second, what's that thing? It's not just randomly put on the table, it's placed on top of the table on the battle map. So that kind of idea of a curveball of sorts, or red herring would be the term, where you throw an idea, a concept, an action out there that's intentionally drawing the attention of the players, but the astute players will notice, hey, that thing should be what we pay attention to. I mean, you can still have them actually go through. I wouldn't suggest actually giving your party a Rubik's Cube, since if anyone in your party can quickly solve a Rubik's Cube, that's your own problem. But
Just
that
like
idea-
give them advantage and don't actually fix the problem.
Yeah. But maybe they do make progress on that other thing that you just threw out there. Maybe that thing has its own intention or purpose. But the idea of it being something that will then eventually drag their attention over to the actual focus. But something like that can also really get the party engaged. Since now they're paying attention, especially if, hey, he just did that thing with the candlelight. What else is he gonna do? Now, I'm using he because it's what I'm going by, but what else is the DM gonna do? Is the DM going to throw another curveball, little hand gesture? Oh wow, got him. No, anyone?
Throw a CR35 creature at a one
Um,
party.
But things like that can keep the party engaged, keep them interested. And again, the idea of puzzles was just like encounters. It's used to try to create an interesting story for the players to experience. Any comments, questions about that? Your goal is to solve that by the end of the night.
What's my goal with this?
Figure out why it's not turning on.
I got one part. I think
Uh,
that's enough.
I think I fixed it.
This is a great
Oh,
time.
what?
to- Oh, wow.
See, we both achieved something.
Are you a DM? Do you want to be a DM?
Eh,
Okay,
no longer.
no longer.
I've tried
You,
it.
you satisfied your life with the Rubik's Cube, the one side of the Rubik's Cube. Wonderful. By the way, great analogy there. Rubik's Cube, he solved one side of it. What if the puzzles that you have are more than one layer deep?
You'd have to be very
Another
careful about that because
You do, because players will do everything you don't expect and nothing that you expect. Usually.
there's a joke in Vox Machina about doors. How if every door they come to, like, is it a magical door? This door doesn't appear to be magical.
I stabbed the toilet. Is it a mimic?
Yeah.
My players are paranoid about doors now because they like checked a bunch of doors to see if they were trapped, and then the one door they didn't check was trapped.
Oh, I love to tell, whenever my party opens a door, I say, there's an empty pit on the other side that you are now following. And I'll be like, I'm messing with you. But one of these times they're not gonna think, or they're gonna think I'm joking. And then they take a couple Ds of damage. And I'll
Just throw impossible ones.
Oh, another thing I did to these guys, I'm a little bit mean at times. I go like, somewhere, you guys have now advanced to chapter 2 of this adventure. And somewhere in this adventure, depending on your actions, you may or may not actually encounter it, but somewhere in this encounter, there is a mimic. I will not tell you guys when you have come close to it. And again, based off your actions, you may or may not actually interact with it or not. But there is a mimic somewhere in this chapter. Have fun.
Oh boy.
What if
Yes.
your play? Okay, what if a situation where your players are taking like 2 hours to figure out this puzzle? What would you do? Would you
So if it's taking too long,
Yeah.
I will either find a way for them to quickly fail it if it's past how long I want to spend on it, or find some way for them to solve it.
Mhm.
One of the things, I'm a little bit of a cheater at times. I don't follow all the rules of the book. Call me a,
God.
I know the rules lawyers love me. But one of the things I do is I message my players individually. Granted, one of them is someone who is a warlock, so they have different things coming from their patron. Could use the same example of a cleric getting divine inspiration. I've got a wizard who's pretty much talking to himself on another voice in his head, apparently. So if something like that happens, I'll drop a hint to one of them. Usually it's a person that I know has got experience with these kind of campaigns, and they come from a point of understanding of, I'm trying to progress the story and I don't want it to be on a hiccup of, well, was that guy's hat red or blue? And what does it mean when it doesn't matter? So if it's a little bit better in terms of immersion to have a party member break them out of their drunken stupor than it is for you to have to interrupt the flow of the game and be like, hey guys, that this is a whole big nothing burger. Can we move on to something else?
What I usually do with my players are, I don't know, either getting stuck on something or have not picked up, like, yeah, getting stuck on something. I do, I like, it's like I call it the, like, it's like a Socratic method of, I basically just start, like, I just start asking, instead of like telling them what's going on, I just start asking them questions like, okay, what are you stuck on? And then they describe the situation to me in their own words, and then I go off of that. Because it's like that way they get to come to the conclusion, and also I understand how they're getting stuck because I am not in their heads.
Yes, that's a wonderful way to do it. I will also add at this point, interject, there's more than one way to skin a duck. There's no like perfect way to do something. That is great since you got to figure out, hey, why is this happening? It lets you, if you do that particular puzzle again with someone else, maybe figure out a way to make it more streamlined or easier to comprehend. Or if you have that group still, how you can reshape your future puzzles. So that's a great way to do it too. See that? That's a dead end of the talking point.
We can discuss more untraditional puzzles that aren't riddles and just like,
Sorry, actually, a bit ago, there was the question about timing the players, or what if they're taking forever. I have actually tried having a combat encounter as the time limiter for the puzzle. It kind of worked out, because simultaneously, like, the group kind of split up into, okay, who wants to focus on the puzzle and who wants to fight? And it was basically, okay, whichever happens first, you pass the room.
Yeah.
You pass the challenge. Slight problem is you have to start timing combat turns because
Each combat turn in theory is 6 seconds, but
well, yeah, but how are you gonna limit somebody to like, okay, you can only do the puzzle for the 6 seconds somebody is doing it turn? No, I mean like you actually have to time it.
something like that a way you could do it is only answer questions when it's their turn.
Oh,
And
no, it
have
was,
other-
It was like a given, like post-it puzzle that they were solving.
Okay. Well, not an exact parallel. This is something I've done before. The players are right by this door. There's a whole lot of things that can kill them right behind them. The thing that's stopping them from getting to safety is that door. How do they get through the door? Well, Thief, can you start working on that door? We're gonna try to keep everyone alive until then,
Mhm.
and then get through the door, close the door. But if that door is locked by a puzzle, or what if they're trapped at, again, at dead ends, kind of like this conversation, and they're trying to figure out how to get out of it? There's a puzzle. So using it in ways like that, since really a lot of these different things are building blocks that can work well together. You can have a puzzle that affects a puzzle that affects a puzzle that affects combat. A great example I've seen too is, do you guys know what stone giants are? Are you guys familiar with the setting of Waterdeep?
Vaguely.
Stone giants are essentially giant men made out of stone. They're golems. Would it be easier to fight that golem? It's like 200 feet made of solid stone and magic, or disables magic somehow? You can have combat that includes both of those. You take out the lich, and now all of its underlings disintegrate because it was its magic holding them together.
You can build upon that concept. Anyone play Left 4 Dead 2? Are you familiar with that?
I've not, but I'm familiar with concepts.
So it's a zombie game, but there's special types of zombies that work in different ways.
That
Some
bites.
attack from far, some spit out acid. And like basically they have attack patterns that are predictable. Going back to the last 2 weeks that I've been doing the big P word pattern. Patterns are really good when doing stuff like that. Because people are really good at finding them. But like having enemies that attack in a certain pattern can be the puzzle in itself, like to find their weaknesses.
Yeah.
Say a large enemy only goes for close quarters combat. You could do like a ranged attack on its back where it's weak, as its front is more protected or something like that. Or say an enemy just goes, like starts spitting out acid in like in the background. And the way you combat that is by getting up close and personal with it where it's weaker. Something like that.
Yeah, patterns. Another one could be like, hey, this NPC, every time we interact with him, he's got a drink in his hand. And you can also use that as, well, building on not just any drink in his hand, but you can use that as a form of hints. So the hint is the puzzle. He's holding it in his hands, and if they actually inspect the hand and like what he's holding, there's a symbol in that glass. Hey, I've seen that symbol before. It's for the bandit group we're trying to hunt down. This guy might be involved with those bandits after all, and he's been helping us hunt them down the past like 2 sessions. Maybe this guy is sus. So there can be things like that that can tie in. Riveting conversations.
Going back to combat chess, that's what I like to call combat chess. Kind of like, also you can also use the environment as a puzzle for your combat encounters. So say maybe the environment has some traps in it, or like a spike trap,
Or the room is filling with water.
or you could activate the room to fill with water, and the enemy in that room could be weak to water. So like, are there any enemies that are weak to water in
The players are weak to water, especially when it's filling their lungs.
Like more
Or
like
you could,
if you touch water, you die, like Enderman style.
for some reason that reminded me that like one, spoilers for Tomb of Annihilation.
I've read through the entire book.
Yep.
Yeah, there's like a thing where if you trigger a trap, it like drowns you in wine, and it's specifically like being able to breathe in water does nothing for drown.
It sounds like a hard death.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't have anything to do with that. Yeah, I think on the subject of like combat and puzzles, now that I'm thinking about the one shot again, there were basically, especially for a lot of the later puzzles, what I had were the sort of like, so it was like basically set in like a weird haunted art gallery, and there's this one persistent like painting that shows up a bunch, and if you like disturbed her or made her upset, she would attack you. But there were certain, like, if you got rid of her, then you could get like certain things to like advance some of the puzzles. So if you were like stuck on something, you could like just attack her instead and then settle that. It's just like a question of like resource management. How many things can you attack before stuff gets too hard?
Gives me some Harry Potter vibes. Magical paintings.
All the ones that talk.
And they can move through them because they found the person for the entrance of. Never mind. It's a tangent for another day. Yes, that is another nice way you can do it. Since that kind of gives a self-imposed handicap, if the players are stuck, and one of the biggest things is to make sure we keep agency with the players. Because if we keep the players making them feel like their actions have consequences, that's what's going to keep them interested and keep them engaged and keep them wanting to come back more. Because we're lonely, we want friends. D&D is a good way to make friends. Let's keep those friends by keeping them engaged. French is fun. You know,
You can make
For-
a puzzle French.
well, for my party there, whenever they interact with a character that they don't know, now the players know the language of, I just start talking in French. It's an interesting take on, oh, no one here knows Nomic. Okay. The unfortunate part there is one of them is Brazilian, so he knows Portuguese. He can translate most of what I said.
Well, just just make a world building thing that those two languages are like, pick a language that's similar to that character knows. Oh, those are related now.
Think of what
I'm
else.
looking at this puzzle. This is definitely a Fibonacci sequence. There's no way.
Oh, can I see it?
I sent you the
It's in
puzzle.
the Discord,
Oh.
Rodian's thing. It is definitely a Fibonacci. There's no way it's not a
Would you
Fibonacci.
guys like to hear the riddle of the naked man that Riddick was able to solve? Okay, let's see this. You're not allowed to answer about.
It's a really good. Oh,
Okay.
no, not a Price is
Okay.
Right thing.
I will read it once. Each of you guys are allowed to ask me to reread it once more. Right. So it's the actual right spot. Did I send it to you or did I send it to someone
You
else?
sent it to me. Somewhere. in our
Okay, I
chat.
found it. I found it. I stand aloof, alone as a savior. I shine my oily smile across the rippling vastness. I, with this beaming, attract and repel. Ignore me, and you are lost one way or another. What am I?
A lighthouse?
Yeah,
That's what it's.
it took them like 10 minutes.
I think I
Also,
was-
you didn't use the buzzer. So
Actually, it's a lighthouse.
Yeah, you win
start
300
popping
bucks.
bags of chips. We got a winner here.
You win 300 Monopoly
This
bucks.
is a metaphor for something.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was it took that's another thing. Different puzzles will take different people different amounts of time and effort. Some people you need to babysit a little bit more than others for those things. Some people are really good at riddles and puzzles. Those ones you have to give the zingers to.
Okay, this pattern is this pattern is brain poison. Oh my god!
Okay,
And you're telling me it's not a Fibonacci?
It's not.
this man with his
Is
patterns.
this a forum thing?
Yes, in the forum.
Oh, mobile Discord doesn't like forums for some reason.
Really? Wow.
I don't know. It's having this weird issue where like I go into a forum and then it crashes, but because mobile Discord opens where you left off, I open it again and it immediately crashes again.
Oh no.
So I have to like give myself a notification for somewhere else to break this like hell cycle and then
Wonderful.
just never go back to the forum.
Okay, well, yeah, you can come over here and look at it.
Do you have anyone else in the Zoom yet, by the way?
No, just
Hello.
Mr. Doom left, but yeah, that's the sequence right there. And I am convinced of a Fibonacci just because there's two ones I combine to a two.
I can give you
Okay.
some more numbers if that will make it easier, but you're still gonna
42.
have to. No, 42 is not the answer to anything. That's a lie you were told.
It's the answer to everything in the universe.
No, that's a lie.
Got the previous number added.
Yeah, it's not the Fibonacci.
No,
It's not the
no,
Fibonacci.
it's added to it. So 1 has a 1 added to it.
Yeah.
And then the 2 ones getting an 11 added to it. Negative. Ignore me.
Yeah. I'll DM it to you if you want to take it.
I'm a biologist, not a mathematician.
I've seen too many Fibonacci's to
A golden ratio.
literally.
Anyone else
Oh,
have
well,
some
that
fun
could-
puzzles
There we
off
go.
the top of your heads? I've got one. Ready for this?
Mhm. Oh, I was actually thinking of something else. So what if, tying back to combo, if you make your puzzles like in a vacuum, super easy, like super easy puzzles. But the player's being chased by an angry monster. So as you know, doing a simple task under a lot of stress, very hard. So kind of adding the challenge of the puzzle with the circumstance itself.
That reminds me of, so again, this one shot. So one of the rooms is like, the first half is deceptively simple. These, a bunch of creepy ass dolls like, hey, if you want to play with us, line us up on the shelves in rainbow order, and it's easy to find all the dolls. And then it's like, oh, you should go into this other room. And then as soon as people go into the other room and touch something, the door locks behind them, and they basically got a ticking down time to either find like the way to exit or break the door down, or bad shit happens.
Yes, kind of like making a simple task harder with the circumstance itself. Yeah, basically that. How did they solve that? They-
I don't, if I remember correctly, I don't think they did, and the consequence for that was that basically there was like, they had to make a wisdom saving throw or become convinced that, hey, maybe we want to stay here forever, we don't want to leave. But they could get snapped out of it if they were slapped in the face enough times, so it wasn't the
Yeah.
ultimate, didn't break everything.
Would you guys like to hear a really original riddle? There's 3 hints to it. I'll read one hint at a time and give you guys the opportunity to guess the answer. What does man love more than life, fear more than death, or mortal strife? That's the first hint.
It's time.
No, there's your guess for this round. Two more hints after this.
Alcohol.
No.
I mean, the only thing that's coming to mind is kind of terrible.
I'm listening.
It's just like some, I don't know, my brain's like, oh, some shitty joke about marriage and the rhyming, like what?
No. So I'll keep reading.
Yeah, my mind went there too.
What does man love more than life, fear more than death, or mortal strife? It is greater than God, more evil than the devil. That is the second hint.
Taxes?
No.
Free will?
Apparently taxes are greater than God and more evil than the devil.
I mean,
No.
Freedom.
No. Okay. What does man love more than life, fear more than death, or mortal strife? It is greater than God, more evil than the devil. The poor have it, the rich need it, and if you eat it, you will die.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Yes.
oh,
The last line
So,
is famous.
Those were 3 different riddles, and I strung them together.
Mm.
But each one was different level of difficulty from the others.
you could have the last part that basically gave the answer. Be like
Yeah.
written in a different language if you're doing it.
Also, based off how your party's doing, you can give them different parts of that. All 3 of those, with each of those 3 blurbs, you could have gotten to the right answer. It's just a matter of how easy is it and context. But if I had Riddick, and Riddick was the one, like the best puzzle solver out of the group, no offense, I would probably start with that 3rd hint.
I probably would have some taxes for all of them.
He probably would have said tax roll.
That makes sense.
I'm going through a puzzle I wrote like years ago, and it doesn't make sense. Like there's a pattern break. No.
Dead. You done goofed. I guess you could say he's doomed. Zoom name.
I've done, I don't know. I set up a puzzle once that I realized in execution was impossible, and so I said like, oh wait, hold on. I didn't do this correctly, and I immediately made it significantly easier because otherwise it was impossible.
Think on your feet. Don't be afraid to change something if you realize you messed up. Because we can't let ego get in the way of stuff like that. Like, we are human. You're human at least, right?
No.
Don't worry about it.
Are you human?
I'm nobody.
Well, I'm human.
Yeah.
I make mistakes all the time. So, me with my imperfect self, I make mistakes. I say the wrong puzzles. I made them accidentally do the wrong things to the wrong NPC. You just got to roll with it. Acknowledge that, hey, I messed up a little bit. We're going to re-roll this. Like, I actually had them redo 2 weeks of the game. Granted, it was being done through downtime, but I made them redo 2 weeks of the game because, like, this isn't right. This isn't what makes sense from the story.
Never mind, it works. It's just I forgot how it works.
Oh, you confused yourself. You don't goofed, kid.
You've been outsmarted by your past self.
Well, we now know that it is in fact possible to go down.
That could be a possible puzzle to implement, being outsmarted by the past. Like as in, like say an NPC wants to go to a secret room he set up a long time ago, but he forgot the code. And or if he got the puzzle to open up the door, and the party has to solve it. I remember this when I was a young whippersnapper. This goes here. Oh, that don't work. Anyone here have any idea? Also, speaking of hints, I did talk about having to like say you could have some party members do an intelligence check to get a minor on how to solve it. Like
Intelligence, history, arcana.
Well, you see Arcana?
Arcana. Like Arkansas. Arkansas.
I'm gonna start calling it now until I clear. See how long it takes my players to try to kill me in real life?
Where do all the wizards go? Come from Arkansas. Wait, what about all the barbarians? Musclegan?
What's a barbarian and what's a library? A librarian.
Wonderful. When it comes out that all the murder hobos are just Florida men.
Oh yeah, speaking of puzzles, I did get some of the adventure books out there. If you want to check them out.
There's
There's
you
two
want to show me something?
out there. I know two definitely has puzzles. Don't know about the
This
other
is-
ones. I know
Correct.
Lost Mines, Tomb of Annihilations definitely has puzzles.
I think I do this with puzzles.
I'm currently playing that game, so don't spoil it.
Oh, you should
didn't
pet
make
all
a
of the
big
things that look
convoluted
weird and
just
suspicious and are
with
hissing at
reading over
you.
there.
Trust me, it'll go great.
Oh no. Oh, don't worry. I ate a cloth off a Demigorgon altar and now I'm unconscious for 60 hours.
But
I wanted to test the paladin immunity, and I guess I messed around and I found out.
Don't do that.
well,
It's bad for you.
yeah,
Uh,
this thing is like I wish it didn't make my glasses fall off every time I looked down.
It's okay. It's got a long common with snow. It blinds you.
puns. The puns.
I guess you could call me Punny.
How about let's do an exercise.
Oh boy.
All right, so let's do a bit of a weirder puzzle. So let's do a combat chess
I
puzzle.
believe this is a puzzle.
I will- I guess your assignment is make a combat chess puzzle each of you.
Combat chest puzzle?
Combat chess.
Okay, it's a mimic with a lock in it, and it can't attack you while its mouth is locked.
A combat chess puzzle with a discernible pattern. It's not traditional combat, so like I guess an extreme example would be bureaucracy, but like something like that where it's like there's a pattern to discern to resolve this combat instead of just brute forcing like you would normally. So this ain't your normal pack of goblins. You got to think about it.
I had one.
What is it?
So I'm trying to remember the name of the creature. Do you guys know what clockwork dragons are?
Dragons made of clockwork.
Yeah, for the most part, they're kind of like steampunk dragons.
Oh, that's cool.
What if you fought one and without really making a big deal of it, every time you go to attack it, you don't want to be in melee with this clockwork dragon. It's a dragon, they hit really hard, but it only attacks the people who are to the right of it. Why is it doing that?
It's a broken clock.
What does that mean?
Broken clock still right twice. I don't know how the saying goes, but you know what I
A
mean.
broken
The broken
clock
clock
is
is right twice a day because it's on the same spot and
Unless
time
it's a
considered.
24-hour clock, in which case it's only right once a day.
And you're still wrong the rest of 99% of the time.
A bit more than that.
1 out of 24, whatever.
But in that one, it's not a riddle in the sense of, hey, there's some quip or verbal answer to it and something like that. The hints or of the puzzle itself is, hey, this dragon is drastically stronger than you guys, but it's only noticing an attack and things to the right of it. What if the reason why is because the left side of it's got some kind of significant damage? What if that makes it safe not only to be on the left-hand side of it, but what if that's a weakness that will help you be able to take it down?
And the way
So-
you're able to discern that is describing the dragon in detail.
Or if the players are paying attention to how it's going about attacking. Because you don't even necessarily need to describe that to them. What if the damage is on the inside in this clockwork dragon example? So it's up to the players to notice, hey, you're right in front of it, it just ignored you. You're to the left of it and behind it, it's ignoring you. It's only turning right, and with each of its 6-second turns, what if each time it takes that time to rotate to try to see if it sees any threats?
Yeah.
Kind of like how deer have those sides facing eyes, so if you approach it from the front, it gets really confused. Herbivores, prey animals tend to have eyes on the sides as opposed to the front, so they get a wider range of view. Anyways, that's more biology than we need to get into. Anyone else have one or have thoughts on that?
Or the puzzles in the environment of the combat arena or in the enemies of this combat arena. So that's kind of what we're going for with this.
I've once run time like cross time combat where each player was playing a character 5,000 years in the past and a modern day character. Same battlefield, and there were buttons on the battlefield that would change terrain, and once you, like the map switched into the past or the future, oh, your changes to the terrain stayed from that.
So how would you run the enemies in this exact? So there were enemies in both timelines, or was it?
They were technically the same enemy in both timelines,
So it's
but it's like, you know, oh yeah, this is the ghost of that character.
that'd be interesting.
Interesting.
That'd be an interesting thing to look.
One thing that I would find a bit weird about that is, let's say you're standing on a hill and it's flat where you are now, but past you did something and now you're standing on like precipice of the hill. But wouldn't you have noticed that when you approached it in the part itself, unless there's other time related stuff going on?
Well, this was
I
in
don't
a
know
temple
that's-
that they accidentally summoned by throwing the magic beans.
Oh no!
Ah, beans.
So I don't think they were gonna question the fact that the temple just changed.
That's fine.
One way I could. Well, did they have a line of communication between past and present of the party, or no?
No communication between them. Despite that
Except
fact,
metagame.
one of the characters just to save some money, buried 1,000 gold from the past character. I let it happen because I think that's funny.
Yeah.
Does money
Roll fun.
compound in this world? Did
You know,
inflation help?
it doesn't work that way when you bury the money.
Oh yeah,
It
right.
doesn't compound.
Kind of, because in some ways it would reduce in value because there's
No.
been more gold mined, and others, this is really old gold, so that's pretty cool.
Make it antique coins like time travel.
If people care about antiques,
Would they? I don't know.
I mean, you
that's
gotta
up
find the
for
right buyer.
society.
That's true. Yeah, one way I
How about
would,
you, not
that is a
Steve?
good idea that I want to see it. Because that is a lot like Titan
How
Sword.
about let me see if I can. I might have a puzzle from the one shot. I think. Do we have one of those battle grid rounds in here?
We have many.
Yeah, I think it's
Oh,
simple
boy,
enough
do
that
we.
I could recreate it right now.
Any guesses on how the puzzle works?
So first and foremost, the thing I did notice is this line down here is consistent. My understanding or guess is going to be, this is going to be some kind of symbol as
Do you have
well.
like a marker?
Based off of that.
There should be an
So far, so good.
One thing that's is escaping the film is how the numbers are going into different symbols, especially since I'm not really seeing repeated numbers or patterns. What one thing you can is there
Oh,
a 6
dear.
in any of these that could?
That actually is a good idea. Okay, I'll fill this one in and give you another question. So that you at least have
So
two
if I
sixes in the
see
first spot.
6 in the first spot and I see a similarity,
Mhm.
or if I saw like a 4 in the spot.
Yeah,
what
I
that
think
means.
I overcomplicated it by not giving enough info just when I originally made it.
May I ask how visually impaired you are? I hope that is a friendly enough term. I also need awkward answers.
It's if I need to read anything that's not like right in front of me, I can't do that. But like I can see well enough that I'm not going to fall down the stairs.
That's always helpful. I
Like,
am
it's just-
nearsighted as well. I think I'm not quite to that level. Like I can read his paper, but I can't read the books on the shelf there.
Yeah, I kind of like vague.
Yes, and you do a very good job at it with it. Well, I'll see a 4 comment.
This is something.
I'll see a 3 or 6.
Hey, you have that other puzzle to be working on.
Oh, there's puzzle.
The one that you think is a Fibonacci sequence.
Oh, I think I put it in chat GPT and they figured it out. I get up, but I tasked the robot.
How dare you? Uh, 12,000 folders in my game day folder.
Also, this was originally developed under the pretense of a different languages numeric system.
So how does this pattern accidentally become a Fibonacci?
Um,
does it accidentally?
okay, it doesn't, but it's among the fact. Let me just see what the.
But yeah, it's puzzles. All fun and games till you lose your marbles.
Well, then don't lose your marbles.
Oh, that ship's long sailed.
Get new ones.
Oh, that's a good idea. Why didn't you think of that? You're supposed to think for me.
I can just.
This guy.
Yeah. So essentially, as part of going to the haunted art gallery, assuming we're operating on the default of 4 people. If I had more, it'd be slightly different. But essentially, they enter a room, and it's a really big room, and in the center is this 8x8 grid, and there are 4 statues in there, all dressed in yellow and holding a golden orb aloft. And coming from the orb are beams of light, horizontally, vertically, and diagonally across the grid. And there's a main door that is locked, and a bunch of side rooms. And there's a very simple puzzle in all of the side rooms, and every time you solve one, you get a golden orb like the ones that they're holding. And so let's assume that you have all managed to figure out how to get the golden orbs without horrifically maiming yourselves, and now you just have the puzzle to solve.
May I ask which direction each of them are shining in?
All of them are shining horizontally, vertically, and diagonally.
It got it correct.
Who knew AI is good at finding patterns? That's one thing you can do.
I think the obvious first guess would be something to the effect of putting in the corners such that they would hopefully be able to shine into each other in a square.
Do you have any clue why it worked? Why that was the answer?
Can you just
Oh,
check to
did?
see if the map is visible? from
What
the
did it
camera?
say?
Also, it didn't make sense. But it made sense for what it was, so.
Does anything happen with the stones like that?
Yes, what happens
Does that sound right?
is that all of these wonderful characters are going to take 4 points of radiant damage.
Oh, no.
Sick.
The,
It is
the,
very-
the passive
that is-
light
I love
costs from
ChatGPT.
blinding and the orb gets too hot to handle.
AI is really good. Can't do anything. It's like it's a trade.
Well, that.
And you can move on to the next.
Are these
puzzle.
two staying where they are?
Yeah.
So,
I've seen Hitchhiker's Guide. I know what this is.
Oh,
all
I'll be
about.
right back.
Actually work on it.
I'm just gonna get-
I remember there's the number 1881
These
that
are
I
square.
can't.
Oh, it's
No, well, not intentionally.
not intentional. Jumps, math jumps. Seven of these.
Here's some good work.
Just had a phone call from my sister. She works in the military and it's down in Texas, so don't get to see her. So what happens? Party
Okay.
dead?
So, this wonderful fellow right here is going to take 7 points of radiant damage, and everyone else is, if I'm, yes, I'm doing this correctly, then everyone else is going to take 14 points of radiant damage.
Whole bunch of damage. Since none of them are horizontal from each other.
You can also only put down a couple at a time, if you would like.
This connects all of them. Just those two. All of them are connected one way or another. Since this one's diagonal from here to here, and this one's horizontal, so on and so forth. Also, where's the door that they're supposed to be pointing at?
So none
Is
of them
there-
are pointing at a door. From my perspective, the door is here, but it doesn't. The
Doesn't
door doesn't
affect
have
anything.
anything to do with
Sweet. Have we tried opening the door?
The door doesn't. Yes, the door is locked.
Wonderful. So what happens to our two lovely victim tiers?
Well, this one is going to take,
Roll the damage.
yes, 11 points of radiant damage. Again, the beams of light that are in, yeah. The orb goes, oh, I just realized I might have left out a critical detail.
Maybe.
Yes, so, yeah, the orb goes up, it starts creating its own beams of light, and those beams of light intersect, become blinding. Orb turns red hot, does a bunch of damage, way too hot to handle. This one is this one's just there. Yeah, that's 12.
Neat. Want to key us in and so what's going on here?
So this is essentially a modified this is basically, have you heard of an 8 queens puzzle?
I have not.
So basically it's about arranging, well, the original form is like arranging 8 queens on a like chess grid such that none of them can attack each other.
Okay, that makes sense.
So this is a modified, basically it's a modified version of that where the players have to like take
So
these orbs
Sudoku.
and
Essentially.
something like that, yeah. Yeah, have to like take the orbs and
No.
hold them aloft such a way that they don't intersect with each other, intersect past each other.
He did not get a single one of the numbers. Sure, I'll
Yep.
fix this one so you
There we go.
have.
Yeah,
Yeah, and the narration helps.
I think. Yeah, I left that part out, which I realized like
Oh, it's fine.
oh yes, if they also my reference is also set up such that like I assume that when players realize, oh, this is going to hurt me, I'm going to put this down immediately and not, because if a bunch of people are in the same place at once, then the math gets all weird.
Mhm. Yeah, the narration paired with letting us know how many dice hits are the two key ends, I think.
Towards the outside.
Because I assume that the number of d6 depended on how many you were in line with at that time,
This way.
correct?
Yeah. So like if you were, so like if you were here,
You're in
then
line
you would-
with
yeah, you're in line.
two or one.
Well, you're in line with this
No,
one
there's
and
this
this
Okay,
one.
so two.
Oh, and
For any
like
small
with this
business
one here, you're
puzzle.
also,
Yeah.
Okay.
but if you are there, then everything's cool and fine and
It's a
normal.
combat chest.
Okay.
I make combat chess. I'm really bad at making good riddles. I like weird combat encounters.
Yeah, those are fun.
But yes, I highly encourage you guys post these riddles and more onto that thread so we can share in the knowledge.
And you won't
Sharing.
steal all of them immediately.
Not immediately.
Fibonacci sequence.
It's not plagiarism
The
if you
trick to
borrow the
that
idea,
puzzle
right?
is communication and telling somebody else, oh, what is the number? Oh, it's 113. Oh, it's just a community. I don't know if you can
Quick question for
incorporate.
you. Do you share a dorm with Alex out of curiosity?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
I
know him.
I kind of turn into an antisocial goblin the second I get through the door, so I don't really talk to him very much.
I apologize in advance if you ever hear my radio go off. I've gone there a couple times while working.
Yeah, I've definitely heard you there. I don't think I've heard your radio.
It's fine. It's a very loud, annoying, deep noise.
Usually that means someone dying.
It's fine.
Are you an EMP?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That.
Yeah. Anyways,
He just
Anyone
listens
else
to the
have any more
radio. He doesn't use his phone, just listens to radio.
Anyone else have riddles?
Riddles.
Yeah, last time it happened, I go in to use the bathroom right after getting back from Fox. Don't even have time to close the door. I hear it go off. It's like sometimes.
I'm trying to think of a riddle I've heard before that's actually good.
Okay, here's one. Do you want to hear something funny?
No.
I don't trust you.
A joke.
Joke. The joke.
Yeah. Do you know the cat? Do you know the cat's a comedian? It only ever brings me humoruses.
I don't get the joke.
You'll know when you're older.
Is it more grim than I think it is?
Don't worry about it.
How do the brothers Grimm like their porridge?
Grim.
It's a literature reference.
I mean, it's about Goldilocks. I had to remember because she's called differently in Russian. But I can't think of a pun around that.
Wait, what
Who
is it?
said it's a pun?
But
I
I'm
have
thinking,
more than just puns.
They like it just right.
Yes,
that was simply that.
that's how the brother Grimms like it. The brothers Grimm. Brother.
Steal one from the internet.
If anyone from Zoom wants to add in their jokes or their riddles, feel free.
We won't judge you.
I won't be able
That
to see
much.
it right now, of course, because I'm talking present and you guys are in the future. Kudos whoever watches these.
There's definitely some.
Oh. Oh, golly.
God is watching us and doing it.
Okay, here's
Well,
a
Good
regular.
thing I have the rosary on me.
Why is an orange like a bell? That's what the Riddler said.
It's appealing.
No, wait, is that the answer? Because they both need to be peeled close. I'll get the bell part. they didn't peel
The
it.
peel of the
bell.
bell. That's like the word for the bell
It's an
noise.
English thing.
Oh. I'm not good.
Don't worry, I'll stick to, I know 3 languages, as a fun fact. My third language is French, my second language is English, otherwise known as American.
That's the first.
Sarcasm, I think.
Oranges are named after their color, just like lemons. See, that's a fun fact because lemons is not a usually.
Am
used
I named
color.
after my color?
How many sides has a circle? What kind of question is that?
How many sides is a circle? 1.
Oh, it's just 2, the inside and the outside.
Well, count me on the inside because I'm surrounded.
All right. What is it that no man wants to have, but no man wants to lose?
Nothing.
No. The answer is super corny.
Do you know that corn makes for terrible partners?
No.
They always just end up being stalkers.
That's a good one. Well, the answer is a lawsuit, by the way.
Oh, right, it's recorded. Just I believe I rolled low on my insights.
Yeah.
Now you have to take
How much emotional damage? How much?
14.
No!
It starts with a P, ends with an E, and has thousands of letters.
This,
Penelope?
no. No, I was gonna say this
Post
podcast.
office?
Yes.
Okay, what's the longest word in the English dictionary?
The alphabet.
No,
The fear of long words.
no,
Encyclopedia.
no,
Encyclopedia.
no,
Long?
no. You guys give up?
Yeah.
Smiles, because there's a mile between the 2 S's.
See, it's like, for me, riddles are either like, I can't snap my fingers. It's like either immediate or I'm never going to get it.
Yeah, that's fine. And expect the party to be similar. And like I said, if you guys get anything from this, recognize that don't expect the puzzle or riddle to be solved and have some other kind of consequence or way to complete the objective you're trying to do. So they don't solve the riddle, something happens as a result of that, good, bad, or otherwise. And if it's necessary to advance the plot, there's an alternative way of getting it. That way the players don't feel like you're just copping out and giving in despite their own inadequacies. Sorry if that comes off harsh, but if you can't solve the riddle, the Sphinx, then that's actually respectable because it's hard riddle.
As long as it's not like the default riddle from the monster manual, because I've read that like 5,000 times.
I-
They have riddles in there?
No, there's like this. Do you have a monster manual there?
Next.
So much bigger than the other ones.
Also, everyone be safe. I was gonna say careful, and I was gonna say safe. And I'm mixing them together. Everyone be safe tomorrow. It's supposed to be a blizzard.
Oh, fun. I can't wait to go outside and deal with that so I can eat food.
Don't worry, I'm gonna be on an ambulance all day.
All right.
Oh,
I'll
so you're
let
just
you-
making sure we're not your customers.
Oh, it's gonna be in Haverhill, so I hope you're not in Haverhill tomorrow.
Yeah, this, there's like
No.
a riddle here.
I'm just waiting for my classes to
So
start.
where is the
canceling.
Sphinx?
I
Your
mean-
lessons canceling?
No.
Well, I mean, the university is like officially closed.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, thank
I
God.
said I don't like,
Yes, it is closed
it
tomorrow.
was like, they canceled it 2 hours ago, I think.
Yeah. One of my professors emailed me saying, if you guys make a snow angel, you get a free donut. So you want to split the donut, you make a snow angel, you split the donut.
Sure, I'll do it on the highway. So you can slice quick.
I think we did.
There's no way I'm not doing an MBA on the highway tomorrow.
We can split the donut. I know you like donuts.
I hope that homework isn't due tomorrow still. I was
guess you
supposed
could
to
say-
laser cut something tomorrow for a Wednesday project. For a Wednesday class.
I mean, I feel like you could email your professor and be like, hey,
He told us specifically don't wait on until the last moment.
Yeah, it's the moon.
Just sneak in.
yeah.
I got the verb.
I am actually gonna go do that now.
Okay, yeah, sure.
It means that you
I'm on the
won't,
recording.
I don't remember the consequences.
Have fun cutting the laser in. I'm sorry. How long did it take the laser cut that? So?
Hopefully under half an hour, but if I'm late, I'm late.
Do we have anything else we want to talk about for tonight? Or are you guys just gonna go around telling everyone, add your riddles to the board? Please add them. We want all the riddles from you to everyone to use.